This offense is wild.
And the man who is the architect of this offense comes from San Francisco. He's been with Tom Landry in Dallas. His name, offensive coordinator Paul Hackett.
You can tell he was a head coach, and the veins start popping out of the throat. He turns all red, and you're going to get a lecture.
Intense is a description used frequently when Chiefs players talk about new offensive coordinator Paul Hackett. And the offense he is installing is getting rave reviews, even though it's meant a lot of study time.
Well, I feel like I'm back in chemistry class again, back in college. It's a lot of stuff. It's real complicated. You can't be a dummy in this offense. You need to know what you're doing and what the other people around you doing. So it's a pretty tough offense.
The whole idea is to put the defense in a position where maybe they can't prepare as well as they would like to. Gee, what'll they do here? Well, they do a bunch of things here. And I think that's what Albert's talking about, that he's sort of seen the whole thing because he's been going against us every day. And it's tough with all the things. Now, we're going to have to start at some point, and we have to begin with Tampa and start at some point and then move from there. But it's an always changing offense. And I think that's the thing that makes it difficult on defense.
After several years of slam dancing with Okoye and Ward, the Chiefs' offensive emphasis now is to put the ball in the air and often, but over shorter distances. The controlled high-percentage passing game was refined by the San Francisco 49ers during the Bill Walsh-Joe Montana years. The passing attack is balanced with a running game that features a lot of motion, multiple formations, and deception. Paul Hackett says having Montana at the controls has speeded up the learning process.
Historically, this offense takes time. 2 or 3 years, I think, is probably the beginning time, you have to say. I think when Bill first put it in at San Francisco, that was what everyone talked about. But last year, Mike Holmgren did it at Green Bay in 1 year, and he had a remarkable quarterback performance, which, of course, was something that came out of the blue because they just traded for him. I think a lot of it was going to depend on who was the quarterback. And I think initially looking at Bono and looking at Berline, that kind of thing, and then, of course, with Joe coming, really means that the free agency had a lot to do with it. I don't think there's any question that it can be done. It's just a function of time. How long is it going to take to get this stuff taught? Because it's a huge volume of things that you have to learn.
The professional relationship between Paul Hackett and Joe Montana dates back to 1984. At that time, Hackett coached the quarterbacks and wide receivers in San Francisco, and Joe Montana was leading the 49ers to a victory in Super Bowl 19 and an 18-1 record. Today, both find themselves in Kansas City, and Paul Hackett has a very unique perspective on the tremendous talents of quarterback Joe Montana.
Joe took Bill's base offense, and because of Joe's skills, Bill was able to run with the offense. I mean, he was able to create more and more things as the years went by, and Joe was able to just do all of them because it was athletic ability, not size, not powerful arm, but rather athletic ability. And I think the other thing about Joe that people don't realize is his memory. Unbelievable memory. I mean, he can look at something one time that Bill would create, and he's got it. And he can go out and he can perform on this field with these people running at him with this thing that Bill conceived. And I think, that's the thing that makes Joe different. And, of course, now his role here is great because it's help the others. It's I know what to do, and I've heard that lecture 10 years in a row, but everyone around him is hearing it for the first time. And what he's been able to do is take the things that I have presented to everyone and put the little nuances into it very quickly. That we wouldn't have been able to do. It would have taken years to have the situations come up. Now Joe's seen the situation, and so he pushes the process that way.
Protecting Montana is a priority. Dave Zott made that point somewhat humorously with this quotation. A year ago, the Chiefs gave up 48 sacks, a number that has got to be lowered this season.
Obviously, we're not going to have a sack-free season, but we just want to keep that golden arm on the field and not in a sling, because I think if he goes in a sling, we're all going to be in a sling. So we're going to make sure that he stays protected.
Protected but not pampered, at least not by Hackett. He says superstars don't get any slack from him.
I've always believed that the better the player, the tougher he needs to be coached. My feeling has always been that the great player really needs someone in his ear all the time and really needs someone to push him. Because it's easy for him to say, well, I've got this gift and I'm a particularly talented person, so I can go off and do my own thing. And that's not greatness in this system. This system is a very, very exacting thing. Things have to be done in the right rhythm with the right steps. And Joe and I have always gotten along very well because I think I've been pretty tough on him. And there's never been a hesitancy in his mind to not do the things that I felt we should do. On the other hand, I lean on him a lot. And I mean, he really taught me this offense. I mean, when I first got there, he had already won a Super Bowl. He was in his 5th year. And Sam Weish had taught him a lot of the basic fundamentals that we use now. And so there always was a give and take. But he knows that he's got to do it right. And he's set the standard for it. And I'm not going to let him slide from that.
Everyone that's familiar with Marty says this is a departure to give full control of his offense, which he wouldn't do in Cleveland, and which he hadn't done here until you arrived, and has given you this piece of clay to mold.
Well, I think sometimes that's not represented correctly. I think that I have come in and been able to put together the words and the names and the numbers and the strategy. But the guy sitting in the front row every meeting is Marty Schottenheimer. And I think that we have had the opportunity to sort of do this together. I mean, and certainly it's my words, as I said. But as things have unfolded, I mean, there's been input here and input there, and what about this and what about that? And I really see this thing growing. I mean, I see as we begin now into the season, I mean, he's on the headset, every decision I make. Right. I mean, we're doing this together. And I think he's today walked over in practice and said, now, how come you called that 324? Shouldn't it have been 325? Right. So, I mean, he's right in the middle of it. And I'm delighted, because I think one of the things that we don't do as offensive coaches sometimes is listen to the defensive input. And the beauty of this is going to be that Marty's always going to be there to give me the defensive side of what we're doing. And that's going to be tremendous as I think this thing will grow.
And Kevin, just like the players have been saying, it's like them going back to school. And if you look at Paul Hackett, you would anticipate that guy's more like a chemistry teacher anyway. He's smart enough to be a chemistry teacher and even looks a little bit like a chemistry teacher.
And they keep him in class a long time. And even Joe Montana, who's so familiar with this offense, is a guy that's in constant study, because this is a never evolving offense. And